Alright, so I'm taking a brake from the front of the car. I'm going to turn my attention to the back. I'm building a new diff for it. This is a diff that was in it, 28 spline, 9 inch, 3/5 gears, disc brake, BN Commodore brakes. It's only 28 spline axles, so to handle the more power that I'm intending to make, I'm going to a 35 spline centre with a stronger housing than the factory forward housing, which that one's a factory forward housing. So I dummy fitted it in the car and got the length worked out, the width worked out. Then I tacked the brackets on and the anti-roll bar brackets, which I'm putting an anti-roll bar on it as well, which we'll get to that later. But now got it, the axle supplied by Ultra 9 in Brisbane. I got him to shorten the housing for me and finish weld the brackets and straighten the housing. It's going to get VN disc brakes on it again. So the next job will be to dummy fit it in the car, just make sure the width and everything is right. And I've got to make brake lines for it. Then I've got to weld the bracket on to hold the brake hose and little clips to hold the brake lines. Then I'm going to paint it and put it in the car. Oh, and I also bought a spare diff so I could use the brakes off it, because I wanted to sell that old diff as a complete unit. I didn't want to sell it in parts and raid the brakes off it, so I just bought a whole new VN diff to get the brakes off. So I've got to clean them up as well and paint them, and I'm going to recondition new brake lines, new pads, new rotors, all that kind of thing. So yeah, that's next. So in the process of pulling the calipers apart, I found out the pins were seized in both calipers and I couldn't get them apart, so I had to use a gas torch. But in the process of doing that and bashing on it and trying to get the pin out, I ended up bending one of them. So I was going to try and cheap out and not rebuild the calipers. I was just going to clean them up and paint them, but turns out now I'm going to have to rebuild them. So I ordered a rebuild kit, and also it's probably for the best because the pistons are pretty rusty. The calipers will spend a bit of time in the weather, so it's probably best to not cheap out and rebuild them properly. It's amazing the difference a bit of time on the wire wheel can make. So that's one cleaned up. That's what it started like. And I'm going to paint them as well. So the parts are all painted, cleaned up, painted, straightened out the backing plates. Now, time to fit these pistons, new pistons and seals that I got, and the new pins. And then I'll dummy fit the brakes to the housing so that I can make up the brake lines. Once I've made up the brake lines, welded some little tabs to hold them, then I'll be cleaning the housing and then painting the housing. Then I can assemble it all back together and put it back in the car, hopefully for good, and not have to take it out again. That's the plan anyway. Okay, so the calipers are rebuilt. I've made up the brake lines. Made some little clamps to hold the line to the diff so it's solid as, doesn't move. So next step, just got to put the pumpkin in, put the center in. Once I've done that, I think I'm going to take the brakes off, just put it in. It's going to be hard to get it under the car with the spring still in it, in the car. So I'm going to pull the brakes off, put it under, and then I'll put the brakes on and the axles in with it in the car. I think be a lot easier. Got the center fitted. I was just about to put it in the car and then I remembered. Still got to make up a bracket for the speed sensor. So that's the speed sensor ring. Bolts around there on that collar, on the yoke, and then that's the cherry sensor. So I've got to make an angle bracket. Probably go to one of those bolts there, so the cherry sensor can pick up the speed sensor. Pick up the speed wheel, sorry. So with a bit of cutting and a bit of drilling, a bit of grinding, this is what we end up with. So that's the sensor wheel there, or reluctor, I don't know what you call it, trigger wheel, and then that's little red sensor, picks up the speed, sends that to the ECU, and I'll be using that for things like traction control and speed, data logging speed as well. But yeah, just gotta put some paint on it now, and I'll put the diff in the car. I totally forgot that when I did the dummy fit up for the diff, the inner wheel arch was hitting on these brake tabs that hold the rubber hose, and I was meant to fix that before I painted everything, but I forgot. So now I have to cut this tab off. I've taken about 20mm out of it. I'm going to weld it back on now, and it clears by about 10mm now, so I'll have that sorted soon. Problem solved, no more clearance issues. So the diff's in. I haven't put the brakes on yet because I want to have access, because next I'm going to start on mounting the radiator under the boot floor and then running the water pipes to the front of the car. So I'll leave the brakes off for now so I have easier access up and over the diff so I can work around it.